Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming back promptly. So excited to be here at Pulse. Yeah, great to have you all. Hey, you know what? I heard that customer success is eating the world, and I'm learning it right now with our next panel. Because when I think about customer success, I don't necessarily think about brands like Facebook or Lyft or Yelp. But these are folks who are bringing customer success to their organizations. We're going to learn about it. And let's learn a little bit more with the video.
You should never be in a situation where you're selling for the sake of selling. Like, if you're doing the right thing by the customer, you're fundamentally impacting their business. Those expansion opportunities are going to come. You never have to really use the word sale. We talk about it as a company, then I think what we've found is that, a lot of getting that cross-company buy-in is really about thought leadership.
Blow it. Blow the whistle.
Come on, let's have our conversation.
I go on and on. Can't understand how I last.
So let me start with just a few intros. Monica Andraktis is the GM of Americas for Facebook at Work. So Facebook for your company. She knows customer success great. She was formerly VP Customer Success at Box. Thank you for being here, Monica.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jamie Zachem is the Vice President of Customer Success for Yelp. She's been at Yelp since 2008, so great run for you at Yelp. And she built the whole post-sale function and now runs everything globally for the client services, handling all their merchants. Thank you for being here, Jamie.
Good to be here, thanks.
And David Baga is the Chief Business Officer for Lyft. Lyft, you guys got the pink mustaches, which I like because I got the gray mustache. So we're all good with that. But he's really pioneering Lyft's move into providing transportation services to business. Really excited to have all of you here. Thanks for being here. All right, let's learn about how these guys deal with customer success. And I just want to start with you, Monica. Facebook customer success. Explain.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. This is my third Pulse, and it's amazing to see this group of practitioners and this event grow over the years. I think customer success is a real thing now.
I think so too. Right on.
So Facebook at Work, I think maybe some context is helpful. So Facebook at Work is essentially a private instance of Facebook for the enterprise. And at Facebook, we're a very mission-driven company, and our mission is to connect people. We think great things happen when you connect people, whether it's speed of information, whether it's undiscovered connections and relationships, or it's a sharing of information and best practices. We've seen great things happen in people's personal lives, and we're excited about bringing that into the workplace.
That's awesome. And how does that bring you to customer success then? Obviously, you're a customer success professional. You've been at Pulse for years. You're one of the top people in the world. Facebook wants you to come help them with that business. What's bringing that? What do you bring in and your team, and how's that all happening at Facebook?
Yeah, no, thanks. So, Facebook at Work fundamentally is a SaaS product that we're bringing to the enterprise. And so I think much of the classic customer success playbook, if you will, still holds, right? Even though we are Facebook and we are well known as a consumer brand. I think a couple of the elements of the playbook that I would really highlight that are particularly important to us. One, like every other company out there, I think we think a lot about the benefit that we bring to our customers and the benefit that we bring to our end users, and the time to value, right, associated with that. So for most consumer companies, there are no barriers, right, for an end user to adopt a product. But what that means is that there's also no barriers to walk away from a product. And so you have to prove the benefit of the product, and you have to engage your end user very, very quickly. And I think there's that similar consumer ethos that sort of bleeds into how we think about Facebook at Work, and that really pushes us, not only the customer success team, but the product team and the engineering team and the sales team and marketing team that really pushes us to think about how we get better and we get faster and we innovate every single day.
That's awesome. Great. Hey, David, Lyft. Probably 1,000 people here today took Lyft to get to this conference.
I hope so.
I bet they did, yeah. And which we know it, right? It's awesome. It's part of our lives. And you're doing a business, customer success at Lyft, mustache. I mean, help me out here. What's that all about?
So when I changed my LinkedIn profile, I had a lot of people that were curious about that. They were like, "So are you driving? Are you handing out those coupons at the
you're not driving?
station?"
Wait, okay.
So they really were trying to wrap their heads around it. So Lyft, also a very mission-driven company. Our mission is really to fill every seat in every car and make everybody a Lyft driver. And we think that there's a way to reimagine the future of our cities through better transportation. And that's going to happen through less cars and less pavement and less traffic lights. So now that the company is really at scale, we're across over 200 cities. We have over 200,000 drivers. We deliver over 2.5 million rides on a weekly basis. We can unlock some transportation challenges that organizations have been having for decades with the Lyft platform. So my team focuses really on taking this great Lyft platform and bringing it into large enterprises to solve corporate travel challenges. In higher education, looking at installing safe ride programs to make sure students can get across campus without any issue. And then in healthcare organizations is an area we're extremely excited about, where we're providing non-emergency medical transportation. Some of the folks that have the least economic means also have the least access to healthcare because of this barrier for not having safe, affordable, reliable transportation. And when they don't get that care, then they wait, and eventually it becomes an ambulance ride, and that is a huge burden on our entire healthcare system. So my team is made up very much like Monica's. It's sales and marketing, product engineering, and a tremendous customer success team.
That is awesome. Now, Jamie, I want to bring you in here, and one thing with Yelp is that it's really two-sided, right? I mean, you have the merchants who you work with and your team, and you have the consumers, and both of them really have to be successful for the whole program to work. How does that impact what you do when you're trying in your team bringing success to the merchants that you work with?
Sure, absolutely. So it might be helpful first to kind of give the context of the structure. So Yelp at its core is a consumer site. It's about connecting people with great local businesses.
Exactly,
right?
That's where I go too.
The same people that took Lyft to get here today, I would imagine a lot of you are checking out places on Yelp.
Checking out
in
Lyft
Oakland,
on Yelp
right?
and talking about it on Facebook.
Go.
Absolutely.
So, without being a great consumer site and being a site where people want to go and there's a lot of great content, we really have nothing to offer businesses. And so by building up a great consumer site, we then were able to then turn to the business community and say, we have this great offering. If a business wants to gain more exposure, they can advertise on Yelp. And that's the side of the business that I'm responsible for. So we have over 120,000 businesses that advertise on Yelp, ranging from a dry cleaner who spends $50 a month all the way through to enterprise clients who are spending over $1 million a year with thousands of locations. And my teams of account managers or customer success managers are responsible for making sure that they have a great experience, answering all of their questions, down from the self-serve advertisers all the way through to the franchise, mid-market, and national brands as well.
And if does it ever happen that you're trying to provide success for one of your merchants, and they're like, well, I don't like this. I don't like what's going on. I'm not getting good reviews, and I'm your customer. Help me out with this thing. Does that impact how you're able to really work with them, or what's your playbook for that?
It does, yeah. I mean, who our account managers are, and if I look at who I've hired over the years, I've been at Yelp for 8 years, and so it's evolved, but a lot of who we hire in the department are former educators or people who are really comfortable with those conversations of saying, okay, great, let me hear your concern, and then let's take some time and help educate you about what's going on in Yelp, what these reviews are all about, provide perspective, pivot the conversation when it's needed in other directions. but really continue to show the value. A lot of the themes that have come up here, showing ROI, proof of performance, those kinds of conversations.
Still those conversations. That's awesome. Hey, at both Facebook and at Lyft, these businesses have been around, and they've obviously developed this sort of culture that focuses on the end user, on the consumer, and you come with this sort of business message. Is there some kind of rejection? I mean, sort of the organ rejection from these organizations? I mean, help me understand how this is even possible, and then maybe you can go from there and also help me understand what you've learned, because there's that challenging part of it, which is, wait a minute, I'm a business inside of a consumer, but also you have stuff that you can learn from that side. So Dave, why don't you start? Is it sort of like, what are you doing over there? And you talked about the culture. How does that impact you?
Yeah. So culture is a critical success factor at Lyft. I think that John and Logan have done a remarkable job installing the culture early and really emphasizing it. And I mean, it's on the walls, but it's something that people use in their daily language. So our 4 values are to uplift others, to make it happen, to create fearlessly, and to be yourself. And
did any of that have to change as you go to business?
Well, the way that I thought about it, I
don't.
don't think it changes. I think that I recognized coming into it that I'm bringing in this B2B mindset into Lyft, that I didn't have to be those 4 values exclusively. My team was going to be different. You're bringing in a different mindset and personality. And so I was looking more for compatibility. I think what you have to make sure is you can't attack the host. So you're looking for compatibility more than anything, and so we're looking for harmony. But I got to tell you, I'm enjoying the heck out of being at a company where those values are right up front, and we're bringing them into our customer conversations. We're in a very authentic way.
Tell me about that. How is it that you can bring that into your customer conversation? That's very interesting. The fact that you have this great consumer orientation, and now you're turning to work with your business customers. What can you bring? How do you do that? How do you bring some of that goodness into that customer success to your business customers?
Well, I think that fundamentally we believe that mission, vision, and values matter more than growth at any cost. So if you agree with that, then we can start a conversation. And then from there, I think that we've really worked hard to recruit people that align with that mission-driven, feel that purpose. And if that's sort of a non-starter for us. If you can't get behind this kind of idea that Jay-Z and Logan have of really transforming the future of our cities, the future of our workforce, the future of transportation, then go somewhere else. We live in the most abundant universe.
So the message is the same, though. You're going out to your business customers and why they should be loyal to
with
you.
That
with
story.
The same story
Absolutely.
That you're bringing to your consumers about why they should be loyal to you.
Yeah, like so in corporate travel as an example. So we're talking to corporate travel executives. They manage 40% of the U.S. workforce. They're incredibly influential on the decisions that we use for mobility. They are able to move Americans from onto global travel booking, instant booking, onto expense management systems. And so we're really engaging them and talking to them about what our vision of the future looks like and how they can participate in it and how they can help drive that inside their organization. And that so far is a message that's really resonating.
Really awesome. Hey, Monica, when you're walking around at Facebook, people kind of look at you like, what is that? Like, what is this business all? We're one of the great modern successes in terms of engaging and growing a consumer audience, and you're running this business team and customer success and all that. How do you make that all fit?
Well, I think one of the things at the heart of your question is, how do you, in a context like ours, think about the user, and how do you think about maybe stakeholders within
great.
your customer?
Sounds good.
And I'll say at Facebook, I think everyone, again, across all functions, are very aligned on user success. So how do we bring benefit? How do we engage users as quickly and as deeply as possible so that they're seeing real benefit? I think Facebook at Work is an incredibly easy product to use, especially, hopefully, most people are on Facebook and used to the interface and used to a lot of the features that sort of poured over to Facebook at Work. I think that said, businesses have very, very different contexts. And the way that that one business may think about, the problems they're trying to solve with Facebook at Work may be really different than how another business thinks about it. So, for example, we have an early partner of ours. We're still in private beta. We have an early partner of ours that's a telco and operating across 14 different countries, okay? They've been incredibly siloed for a really long time. You can imagine the geographical complexity, language barriers, cultural barriers. They deployed Facebook at Work, and one of my favorite posts that I saw the other day that we got access to was an individual user saying, wow, in one day I feel more connected across my company than I have in years. On the other hand, we're also working with professional services firms. And professional services firms are also large. They exist across borders. They're also very large, big, complex organizations. However, one of the biggest problems that they're trying to solve is how to increase collaboration all the way down to a team-based environment, right? So 4 of us maybe serving a client, how do we collaborate in a much more seamless way? How do we share information? How does information travel faster? Those are really different customers with very different contexts. And so one of the things I think we invest in is customer success, because it's really important that you have someone, in our case, strategic partner managers, who can provide that narrative that sits on top of the product and helps our customers translate all these cool things they can do in the product to how it actually fits within their business context. And so they'll work, right, day in and day out with these customers, setting things up before launch, making sure that everything is customized and configured to what's going to work best for them.
That's awesome. Hey, Jamie, we talked in the beginning about how, hey, you wouldn't have thunk it, but hey, we have these great brands that are focused on customer success. And it almost makes it seem like it's a new thing, but you've been doing customer success for a long time. Actually, you're really a pioneer of customer success from within Yelp. So it's not a new thing for you. You've had a long time to really mature what you're doing. Can you be very concrete and give us some very specific tips of what you've learned and maybe that we can all take away and use in just based on your experience and having that challenging kind of conversations that you've talked about at Yelp? How do you do it?
Sure, happy to. I can't have that conversation without talking about all the mistakes I made along the way.
Okay,
I'm going to have to share some of those.
Those are
as
fair
well.
game too. Fair enough.
So, as I mentioned in my earlier answer, we support a range of customers from very low-paying, single location, potentially less sophisticated buyer, then all the way up through these very large global enterprise clients. And so we borrowed from the customer success model, the traditional customer success model, very, very early on. We had account managers owning named accounts, owned books of business, without any segmentation. So let me just explain what I mean by that.
Wait a minute. Very diverse customers, no segmentation.
Yeah, so you could be a customer success manager who was supporting local businesses, and we gave you 500 of those local businesses, and we said, this is your book of business, and you're going to do everything from onboarding them to supporting them to upselling them, outreach, you name it, that's your book of business,
500.
own it.
Okay.
Now, that model works at the mid-market, national, or enterprise level when you have a book of 40 or 45 accounts that you're working to have a deep relationship with, and doing these things, it doesn't scale at the smaller level. We purposely chose to do that knowing it wasn't scalable, because in those early years, that hand-holding, that relationship building, that building of trust for every single advertiser, knowing that any local business could reach somebody by name at Yelp was very,
So it was a
very
really
important.
strategic play early for Yelp was to do that customer
It
success.
was, and it was right for us at the time.
Okay.
What we've since then had to do is grow and change as we have grown. And so because that isn't scalable, we're now shifting into more of a segmented model.
When do you know it's time to change? Let me ask that. I think that's a very concrete question. A lot of people
When
ask
your
about, like, oh, I get it. I'm
answer rate
strategically
goes down
investing.
to 20%. I mean, there were really clear signs. So in the early days at Yelp, the majority of escalated concerns were about the things you named, reviews, those sorts of things. And then several years ago, the majority of escalated concerns started to become about, I can't reach anybody. It's taken 3 days for somebody to get back to me. I have a very simple question and I can't reach somebody. And we knew that we weren't set up in the right way anymore. And so that's when we started shopping around for our case management solution. We will be investing in more sophisticated phone systems. Right now we do email and phone support, but live chat, we're long overdue to be able to have that for our customers. So just, realizing that making the customer and the customer experience first is what ultimately leads them to success and us to success
I think
as well.
there's a great takeaway. Even a business, actually Yelp, that we don't think, hey, this is a complex business, also one that's changing a lot, and you were able to see that the way you structure your organization and kind of what you prioritize actually really shifted as that business grew. I'm sure that'll be happening to your business, David, as you're continuing to grow it.
We're a
and
little
it's going to be
behind
a
that.
huge, and it's very interesting. So you're running a business within a business. But as I think about the brands for all three of you, I mean, these are truly phenomenal brands. These are organizations that know how to generate consumer loyalty. I mean, incredible consumer loyalty and association and knowledge. And those are areas that, I mean, in my opinion, if I think about customer success as an overall industry, and I think, well, who kind of, if you take it as the general way, who does it the best? Maybe it may very well be the folks who are building the kind of loyalty that your organizations build with your consumers. And in your case, David, you get an up-close look. You get to see how Lyft is generating that rabid loyalty among consumers. Is there something from that you can then take away and then use as you're working with your business customers? Mm-hmm. And then from that, some things that we can all learn from about how to, wouldn't we all like to have our customers be as loyal as Facebook customers? I mean, as Facebook, right? You just imagine it, right? What can we learn? And what do you learn?
So there's a guiding principle across the company that is summed up in "We treat you better," and it's really around this deeply held belief that if we treat our driver community with care and respect, then it's a difference that our passengers are going to notice, and that's why they become our biggest evangelists for the brand. So we've installed a variety of different programs. Tipping is really important. $68 million of tips that went out last year to Lyft drivers. Express pay, so you can go out, you can ride or drive, you can earn, and you can get cashed out the very same day on the Lyft platform. Really important for a lot of folks that are trying to lift themselves up in their lives. Mm-hmm. And then we partnered with Shell for fuel rewards, and then with Hertz and now General Motors to get access to high quality vehicles across the entire country. So this "We treat you better" is a guiding principle on our consumer lives, but it entirely translates to our corporate clients. We think that is something that we can do, and it manifests itself through customer success best. So what can we learn from them? I think that there's a number of things. One is the velocity in the B2C business is just extraordinary. And I think that we could all steal a page, we could up our tempo and pace across the board. You know, this idea of agile development can also go into agile marketing. They're completely okay with experimentation, fail fast, fail forward. And I think that we're maybe nervous to do that in our enterprise worlds. The third thing is the instrumentation to be data-driven is incredible in the BDC world. You can go right up to an organization, down to regions, to sub-regions, down to drivers, to individuals and passengers. So that is something that we're really trying to emulate on the consumer side, or on the business side. So those are a few things that I think that we're seeing manifest themselves. It makes hiring for our team pretty unique. So I think that what we've traditionally seen is that customer success is largely on a spectrum of sales and account management on one end, and really support on the other end. And at Lyft, we we have a couple of other dimensions that are really important. One is that there's a real operational component, rubber on the road, right?
Literally.
and so we have to have some real rigor around supply operations, demand operations. On the other side is this marketing muscle. Can you really work with all of these assets and resources that our marketing team brings to bear, and can you point them at these launches inside each of these large companies? And so I think I've got one of the most rare and most talented customer success leaders in the planet at Lyft, and he strikes all of those dimensions and is building a real multidisciplinary team that looks a lot less like the traditional customer success and probably more like a growth marketing team.
More like growth marketing, yeah. Now, Facebook probably invented the growth hacking or the growth. What do you learn from them? I mean, really, that's like a legendary thing. And what do you take away from that? And what can we all learn about how to take those kind of lessons at Facebook and bring that into what we're doing with no matter who our clients are?
Yeah, well, one of our core values is to move fast and break things.
Yeah, just you I think you almost invented that one too.
I think one thing I've observed at Facebook, and I also worked at Starbucks early in my career, I think consumer companies are very, very good at storytelling. So really demonstrating a product, the benefits, and what it brings through the lens of an individual user and an individual user story. So one of my favorite examples from Facebook at work is from a retail partner that we have, and an individual sales associate in one of the stores, right? Not a manager, not like an all-star, not a merchandising person, and they launched a new product line, okay? And this individual associate figured out this really clever way to merchandise the new product they came on, and she went right away, took a picture of what she had done, and shared it, right, with everybody else in her store. People got really fired up about it. They shared it with other stores in the district, and pretty soon it just went viral. Speed of communication, undiscovered connections. I mean, she became a hero, and sharing of best practices. And I think, customer success, I think this is one of the most powerful things that we can do as customer success practitioners, because you're talking to customers and you're hearing these stories at a user level all day long. And I think it's our responsibility as customer success to bring those stories back, right, into the organization. We had an internal review last week on Facebook at work, and we probably spent as much time talking about those individual user stories as we did about data and metrics and all that good business
That is
stuff.
so awesome, because I think so often, we might not think about the user experience because they're our buyer, right? If it's a B2B situation, that's not who the buyer is. So you were talking about stories about your buyer, right? Because that's but if you're coming from Facebook, no, it's about users, it's about end users, because that's the DNA, and we can learn that focus. I love that storytelling. What do we learn from Yelp? Yelp's, again, one of these great companies, been doing this for a long time. You've got great people on the consumer side. What do you learn? And what can we learn from what you've learned?
Yeah, we did a lot really great early on the consumer side that I had nothing to do with, but I'm very proud of and impressed by, which is we reached out to the core users on Yelp, the people that were very excited about providing content on the site, and we formed something called Yelp Elite. People who were invited to come to offline parties. They could connect with each other both online and offline. They were a very, very important part of creating that early brand and energy around Yelp. They were taking the time to write reviews about anything and everything that they visited. And they were our super users. And so on the B2B side, we realized there's real value in that. And so creating things like a Yelp advisory council. So inviting business owners every 2 years, we refresh our Yelp advisory council, bringing them in to really learn from them. We also have internal positions, managers of business outreach, who are responsible for going and interacting with the chambers of commerce or the merchants associations and making sure that we're having real dialogue and engagement with the business community. And that was something that I really saw happen very early on and very well on the consumer side that we're adopting on the business side.
These are some awesome takeaway, guys. We need to maintain our brand. We need to maintain our values as we're going to the consumer. We need to tell the stories. That's what consumer guys know how to do. They know how to tell the stories, and they know how to treat your customer base as a whole, not just one at a time. Bring them together. Again, that's the kind of thing that we learn from the success on the consumer side, and those are things that play across any of the businesses that we're running. And I just gotta thank you guys so much. This has been a great fun. Thank you, and thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it
much. Yeah.
Thanks so much.